Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Chad. We're back here with about the final half an hour or so of the beta here. I actually had a good time with this beta. I didn't play too much yesterday. Football was on and everything like that. Sunday, it's like the third or fourth day of the beta at this point, and, you know, people are kind of... So yesterday, I spent watching, you know, a lot of those games. I did play a little bit here and there, but by the way, thank you to everybody that subscribed over the past few days. I really do appreciate it. We're closing in on 5 million subscribers. Recently just passed 4.8 million. So for anyone that became members and joined down below, thank you so much for that. I appreciate the support. So if you're new here, subscribe. I upload basically every single day. So since the beta is coming to a close in a minute, I don't really have a lot of time to really play that much. I'm just gonna let the games go out. But I have a list of feedback that I have here in a notepad of all the things that I believe are wrong with the game, with some constructive criticisms to them, instead of just, this is wrong, I don't like it, and then I don't explain any further. So sorry if this video is just a shit ton of talking and everything, but for the sake of beta feedback, this is what I'm doing. So the first thing, the biggest thing that is the issue with this game, before we even talk about balance and anything like that, initial impression that people get as soon as they touch this game, as soon as they get onto it, they go, oh, it does feel like Modern Warfare. And then they go and get shot by people that they literally cannot hear at all. Or they thought that they heard them, but they weren't actually there. Okay. You know what I'm talking about. It's the audio in this game. So I always had a complaint about Modern Warfare sounds with, you know, obviously the footstep volume and things like that. But I want to talk about, like, the general quality of the sounds. The crispiness and the punchiness of the Modern Warfare sounds are, like, noticeably better than the sounds on this game. This game feels a little bit more muffled. For me, that doesn't bother me so much because I hate how punchy Modern Warfare sounds are. I'm not gonna sit there and ignore how, you know, their overall quality is absolutely better. I would prefer the footstep audio to stay around the volume that it is now, but the overall audio on the game needs to be improved in terms of its crispiness, kind of work on whatever's going on with this weird muffleness. That's such a bullshit spawn. That motherfucker actually spawned. Yeah, I'll get to spawns in a second. It's really hard for me to concentrate because I genuinely enjoy the game and I just want to play it, but it's about to be over, so. I literally did not see him at all. I cannot see it. I looked right at him, didn't see anything right there. That is crazy. You just mesh into the background and the visibility is absolute dog shit on this game. Number one way to fix it? I don't know. Turn off anti-aliasing or something. I don't know what else to say. Can't concentrate and actually cover the correct things while playing, so fuck it, I don't care. The accuracy of most of the sounds are just off. Things that are supposed to be loud, that are right next to me, literally will sound like they're in the other room or far away. Or I'll be outside and someone that's firing next to me is somehow quieter than a person firing in a room in a different building. Sometimes it sounds fine in terms of, you know, loudness. Sometimes it is actually accurate. And then when that's not an issue, the directional sound is a problem. I would have issues where I would think that somebody was coming around the corner right in front of me, but somehow the person was behind me. It's very weird. The audio is the most jarring thing on this game next to the visibility. Visibility is just bad. It just is. It's not about players not being lit up well enough in the darkness and things like that. No, like literally, you just can't make out shapes on this game because the quality is that dog shit. Quality is so fucking bad that you can't tell when it's an actual human being, a player, a weather thing, which they also have a hard time doing, by the way, on GFUEL, by the way, with all the weather effects and shit like that. At the end of that game, almost every single time I get a slow motion kill cam that is like freaking out. I'm gonna assume because of the weather. So when people go and pick up the game, get excited that it feels like Modern Warfare and everything, feels good with the gunplay and all that shit, no complaints there, and then boom, the audio starts hitting them, and then immediately in their mind they go, well, why wouldn't I just go and play Modern Warfare or Warzone anyway? Why the fuck would I want to go and play this version of the game where I can't hear anything and I'm just getting bullied? I mean, they're still gonna get bullied even if you do fix the audio because they're probably used to the Modern Warfare sit in the corner hiding and shit. Sorry, that's just what you guys do. They'll quit the game and then they'll just find anything and any way to go and say that Modern Warfare is better than Vanguard, so that's gotta be fixed. Sniper rifles are outclassed completely, even at range. Sniper rifle gets beaten by the STG at distance on every single map in this game, and that's if we want to talk about a far-ranged engagement. Considering how most of the maps were designed, you can't really sit back unless you're on like Red Star. But then you're also just getting beamed by incendiary round FMJ exploding bullets from ARs. So the base ADS speed for the sniper rifles is just far too slow. It's well over like, it's like 600 milliseconds or something ridiculous. all of the rifles and the subs in the game can ADS and hit you multiple times and kill you before you even get down your sight whatsoever, even at distance. So then you think, hey, well, wouldn't the attachments fix that? The issue with the attachments on this game is that a lot of them don't really seem to differ a whole bunch from each other. Also, a lot of them do very small incremental things in comparison to each other. So variety of things to pick is nice, but the biggest issue is that anything that does the biggest amount for your ADS value, for example, you have to go and change the barrel. When you change the barrel, it hits your bullet velocity, your range, which the bullet velocity and range is not a big issue. Over in Modern Warfare, it would do the same exact thing. But in this game, it literally reduces your actual damage. So when I go over here to this Car 98 class, right? This is the general class setup that I was using. Sometimes I'll mess around with different optics and stuff like that, but best ADS speed I got was 550. After putting on this short stock and putting on the leather grip. And none of the other aim down sight grips do anything better than the leather grip in terms of aim down sight speed. None of them. A lot of them just hurt. It seems like a lot of these things seem to do a lot more bad than good. I feel punished every single time I go and pick like a different attachment. And I understand that there has to be drawbacks and everything, but why make all of the attachments just destroy the weapon just for the sake of mobility? I understand that trading damage and mobility is supposed to be, you know, a thing, but mobility is not as powerful as taking 20 points of damage off of the weapon itself. If I were to go over here onto this barrel, for example, I actually can't even use this aim down sight speed barrel right here because it reduces my damage by 12%. This makes it so even if I'm shooting people in the upper chest, they will get hit marked. I have to shoot them in the throat or the head in order to kill them with this thing. That's not even the worst part. I'm only down to 450 milliseconds, which still arguably is not fast enough, but you'll still get murked by the STG with the crazy rounds and shit like that that has around 200 milliseconds or less, not to mention the MP40 that is basically its own rifle to begin with. That ADS is even faster and can snap much faster than a sniper rifle can. Even at distance, look how much it reduces the damage by 25%. This basically makes it so this weapon must headshot player. And I understand if you're looking at this going, 69, if I were to shoot somebody in the head and the headshot is a 2x multiplier, that should kill. I actually might contemplate in my brain that with the sheer amount of hit markers I'm getting with 81 damage, I'm actually arguing in my mind if I would get a hit marker in the head over distance with this. That shouldn't ever happen to a sniper rifle. I'm sorry. You can reduce the range, the bullet velocity, just like Modern Warfare. Don't touch the base damage. If the base damage ends up being too consistent, you can hit that there. Don't allow the barrel to actually affect my gun's damage like that. At least for the sniper rifles, because it's too dependent on only being able to get one shot. They're far too inconsistent and nobody's gonna use them. You've wasted your time putting them in the game. The Madsen underbarrel here. So the weird thing about the Madsen, okay, so I'm gonna remove this. If we look at this, our sprint out time, our sprint to fire is 815 milliseconds. Sprint out times across the entire game are way too high. Way too slow. We'll go into detail about that later, but the one thing I wanted to point out here, when you come over here and you look at the Madsen undergrip, this foregrip, it says it gives you accuracy, aiming stability, aim walking steadiness, and is supposed to hurt your sprint to fire speed. Now, here's the thing. This doesn't seem like something you would want to run, but the thing is, whenever you go over here onto the details tab, it's supposed to hurt our sprint out time, right? We're at 8:15. It actually helped our sprint to fire time by 75.8% apparently, and our sprint to fire is now less than 200 milliseconds. Now in game, I don't really know if it helps. I can't really tell because the gun still scopes in so slow that the sprint out, yeah. But this is clearly bugged in some way. I don't know what statistic is right, or the description is wrong, or the description is right and then the stats are just displaying wrong. I don't know. This is really broken though, and it's not just on, you know, this sniper rifle either. The mini-map and the radar and the compass, I wish it were the way that it was originally, and I'm happy that they met us in the middle by, you know, adding a perk to the game for, you know, radar, which I actually didn't even use that much, to be honest with you. I was using it for a little bit, then I started running high alert because of how bad the spawns were, so radar makes sense to use when the spawns make sense. The thing about having this radar perk as a perk, the thing is, I feel like they're gonna look at this, and if people end up underusing this perk, I feel like they're gonna be like, yeah, see, players don't give a shit about this, they don't want to play the game like that, and then they're just gonna completely leave the radar this way for all of eternity, and we'll never see the classic minimap back. The issue with this perk is now, the reason I wanted the radar to be this way, everyone is affected by the same exact rules in terms of how they build their weapon, where they're firing at, how loud loud everything is. The radar thing being effective across everybody mentally and inherently makes everyone play in a different way and around each other because they have more information on each other. When it turns into a game where certain people have more info than others based on something that they can pick versus something that it kind of can't really tell if it's going to make it overly effective or end up being not very effective at all. I don't know. I think I need more time with the perk. I don't really know how I feel about it, but the spawns need to be addressed before that anyway. The attachments don't display the correct stats, as you know, as you saw with the Madsen thing. Why the fuck? I'm sorry. Why are we allowed to put on high caliber incendiary explosive bullets on every single weapon in the game? And this is just a beta. There might be even worse and stronger things, higher caliber things, or more broken combinations where incendiary plus extremely small caliber does some ridiculous dot damage to players where they just have to hit people a couple times, but because they hit them with 6 bullets on that SMG's crazy fire rate, the stacking damage from the incendiary ends up killing you or some stupid shit. Speaking of incendiary rounds didn't seem to work on the MP40, or maybe even any of the ammo round things for the MP40 didn't seem to work. I don't know why. They absolutely worked over on the STG and stuff, but the MP40, for whatever reason, didn't seem like the ammo type actually did anything. Even when you go and look at like the stats and stuff like that, you don't see any difference here. Like incendiary is supposed to hurt my bullet velocity and damage range, and it's not doing anything. So I don't think it's just, I just think it's not equipping it at all, maybe. I showed people in the other video, but the machine pistol over here, this 9mm 8-round fast mag makes your character hold the pistol over in their left hand. It like thinks that it's dual wielding, I guess, akimbo. That's a really weird bug. Absolutely not working as intended. Also, another thing, I don't know if people ended up seeing it. So since I have most of my weapons up to like level 30, or at least the most popular weapons anyway up to level 30, I have the snipers up to max level 30, the MP40 and the STG up there. The proficiency over here, there's a proficiency named Vital. It says, you are trained in hitting vital areas of the body and can more easily land critical shots. +1 increased area for critical hits. This, to me, I think is saying that it is going to make headshots easier. And the only way I can think of them making headshots easier, I don't think they're going to increase the headshot bubble. That would be ridiculously OP. But maybe they'll make it so a neck shot technically counts as headshot. In a sense, it will still feel like they just have bigger head hitboxes. In a game like this, where the headshot multiplier in this game is the highest it's ever been in Call of Duty. 1 headshot reduces the TTK and the shots to kill on this game, whereas on the other game, it would take 2 headshots usually. You can accidentally, with the amount of flinch on this game, accidentally just hit people in the head, and it kind of makes for a lot of jarring deaths, where you feel like you should be winning a gunfight and you're in the middle of shooting somebody first, and then they just absolutely laser you out of nowhere with a headshot. And it's good that they do reward people for accuracy, but I have a hard time believing, and whenever I'm looking at these kill cams, that the person purposefully aimed at my head. It's more often than not, I feel like they are just simply being flinched up into my character's head. So I'm thinking that this vital proficiency could actually end up being incredibly powerful. I don't know, we didn't get to test it, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but I just noted it. This seems a little ridiculous. This is not just on the SMGs either, it's over here on the STG. Now imagine the STG being able to headshot you even easier, and then delete you even easier with their explosive bullets. Like, the knife. I didn't level it up at all, so I'm not entirely sure if that's the case or not, but from what it looks like, the knife doesn't actually have any proficiencies or perks. I think they should make some unique ones. You know, running speed, maybe knife range, knife quickness, things like that. Make them, you know, obviously you want to balance around them or whatever, but I mean, it would be really cool as a secondary to be able to have kind of attachment on top of that with the bazooka as well, with the proficiencies and perks. I think those should also have one, you know, reload speed, things like that. It could be the case that the knife does actually have proficiencies and perks and we just can't see them because I haven't leveled it up to 30. I don't know anyone that has. From what I know, they don't have proficiencies or perks, and you should probably add some. Otherwise, this is not going to be fun trying to get a camo for, that's for sure. Going tacticals and lethals is a little slow and feels a little clunky. They kind of feel really heavy, like your character doesn't throw things very far, or if they do, they just kind of like fall down immediately. I mean, that's just kind of how the physics in the game works. But if you're gonna make it so like my character is throwing like a heavy medicine ball, at least make it so my character recovers more quickly from utilizing them. It feels like shit. I'm aware that there's proficiencies and things in the game, or attachments or something that makes it so you have a little bit more dexterity when you're done throwing things, but why not just make the base game feel fucking good? What's wrong with that? Yeah, the Gammon Bomb. This thing, this impact grenade, I understand it could be powerful if it's too strong, if it has like Semtex explosive range or some shit like that. There's no Semtex in this game, but you know what I mean. It actually does absolutely no damage. I have thrown this thing at people's feet multiple times. I have literally hit them directly in the feet, and they just have not died. Gammon Bomb is weak. The stim seems a little slow to affect you. When your character sticks themselves, there's about like a second or two delay before the effect starts coming in. Now, that might just be a balance thing or whatever, but it felt a little slow. Didn't feel like I could really utilize it correctly. I mean, unless I was like dipping away from a fight, but then it's just kind of like I probably could have recovered by the end anyway, just rotating. I don't know, felt a little lackluster. It didn't really seem to save me much or make me think, whew, good thing I stimmed there. The armor outclasses all of the other things over in the field upgrades. At least within the beta. There might be some other thing that's more useful, but within the beta, the armor is the most useful thing. Next to the supply box anyway, which is, you know, just a classic, just restock. Audio is so bad and inconsistent in the game that players aren't even really using dead silence. Half the time you probably have dead silence anyway. The field mic doesn't pick anything up because everybody by default is just running around with ghosts. The Goliath is just stupid. So more people are just left with running armor plates, which are actually very, very effective. I had shot a player twice and then broke their armor with a sniper rifle before when they were using armor plates. The fact that I would have to shoot someone 3 times with a sniper rifle, which would take well over multiple seconds, by the way, due to how slow and god-awful they are, to even kill anybody with this. Armor plates just outclass everything else in this category. Field of view on console is fucking awful. I understand that there's an FOV slider, but even the default thing where people that are brand new pick the game up, I feel like the default FOV should just like move up to at least like 90, 95. Something, because I don't know what they're on, 75, 80, or 85 something. You guys got to increase this shit at least by a little bit. This default value is literally like playing with horse blinders on. I understand that a lot of it is done for the sake of performance and blah, 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 but this is some of the worst performance I've ever experienced on a Call of Duty. It's not some of the worst. It is the worst performance I have ever experienced when playing a Call of Duty. I am playing the PS4 version of Vanguard on the PS5, on performance mode, and I'm still getting FPS dips and feel like at certain points, even within a menu, I'm still somehow dipping below 60. I just feel it. Depth of field also over here on the graphics ends up getting reset every single time you restart the app, which hurts the visibility even more. Stop adding this shit to the game. Get rid of it. Or at least by default, if you're gonna have this as a fucking option, leave it off by default. If somebody wants some cinematic depth of field shit, they can turn it on for their campaign playthrough. This shit is terrible. I'm convinced that depth of field is literally only there to try to create the illusion of more detail within the game, because people more often than not will concentrate on what their weapon looks like for quality. Sprint to fire, I already addressed it. A game should feel good to move around in. You shouldn't feel like over encumbered. Engine feels great. It's improved from alpha to the beta, and I can only hope that from the beta to the full game that the game will feel even more tight and responsive. Like in the alpha, it didn't feel like you could slide cancel very well. Something was very, very strange about it. It felt slow. It felt unresponsive. Going over to the beta, it felt much better. But I feel like in comparison to Modern Warfare, it's still not as tight and responsive as Modern Warfare feels. I don't know how else to describe it other than the word tight. I know people make fucking jokes. Whatever, that's the term. It allow tactical sprint to refresh much faster, basically. There's too much time where my character is stuck doing that little jog. It's trash. There's no harm in allowing players to be able to tac sprint faster more often, because even if they do, they can still get punished with that tac sprinting. Even if you do reduce the sprint to fire and the tac sprint to fire, every player is operating by those same rules. They changed the default sniper scope from the Champion Hill Alpha over to the beta. The Champion Hill Alpha default sniper rifle scope for the Kar 98 and the 3-line rifle, they were both better. Just the reticle though, the 3-line rifle's one scope or whatever was pretty bad over in the alpha, and I like it much better in the beta, but the actual reticle itself was much better in the alpha. I would prefer that one back. Also, within that sniper rifle scope, I think it happens in the other higher zoom scopes as well, but the sniper rifle scope has this weird black spider line glitch thing that like moves all around all over the screen and shit. It's very weird. It almost looks like a second reticle in the background. Seems like it's something weird with the anti-aliasing. I don't know, like a weird like performance DLSS mode. And the fact that we're getting performance dips with these horrible artifacts and shit like that, I don't know. The game is just so bad looking. Over on PC, it's gonna be crispy as hell, but over on console, this shit is... That also goes for the PS4 and PS5 version. I played them both. I didn't play on 120 hertz, but I know for a fact that if I did play on 120 hertz, that doesn't mean that I'm getting 120 FPS. I'm absolutely not. Increase the TDM and kill confirmed score limits in the blitz modes. The game ends way too fast. It's kind of stupid for the big game mode and everything that you guys are talking about being explosive and fun and chaos. All that chaos ends up finishing within literally 2 minutes. You ever played Blitz TDM on Hotel Royal? I'm sure you have. The shit literally ends within 2 minutes. And I think that's pretty much it. Sorry if this video doesn't have a ton of, you know, gameplay or whatever in it. I've been playing a good amount over the weekend and everything. At one point I actually played for like, at one point I stayed up for like 25 hours. I don't think I was playing the entire time, but probably at least like 18 of those hours I was. I had a good time on this beta. Can't wait for it over on PC. It's gonna be a whole different world. And at least for a lot of the visual stuff, hopefully that'll be, pretty much a non-issue for me at that point, but still, that doesn't eliminate the fact that the majority of players that are still stuck over on console have to deal with a game that looks like this. Sorry if I couldn't get more constructive with a lot of my feedback. It's just, you know, the issue with going into an incredible amount of detail instead of touching on all of the different things is that it starts to sound like patronizing. Like I'm sitting here trying to tell the developers exactly what, oh yeah, and my character's wrist is just, I mean, it's not twisted like it used to be, but it's still, that still doesn't look right.